Hello and welcome to this roundtable about the book Gardens of Intelligence. I am Gayoso, your host, and in this roundtable I'm joined by my co-host Kari Syrja. Today we speak with Gabriel Anderbjörk, book author. So folks, marketing competitive intelligence is the process of enhancing market competitiveness to a greater understanding of a firm's competitive environment, as well as leveraging the capabilities of preparedness for the future. The author of the book asks, what if you could spend more time creating forward looking, actionable intelligence thanks to smarter tools? What if you could collaborate better and develop hypotheses that can be tested and validated by data analysis? What if you could become more in line with future market expectations as predictions are more accurate? What if you could use human analysis to put information into context, ask relevant questions, and create the best algorithms for machines? Well, the authors draw on their extensive experience in real life cases to present their Gardens of Intelligence framework. And this is exactly what we're here to discuss today. Welcome, Gabriel. Welcome, Kari.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ron.
Thank you. So, Gabriel Anderbjörk is the author of Gardens of Intelligence, designing robust digital market and competitive intelligence platforms. He's an expert in information economics, and it is a pleasure to welcome him today. So, let's get started. So, why did you write this book, and what is the key message?
Well, I mean, to start with, it's I'm the co-author together with Jesper Martell, my long-term colleague and friend. And I think it all started around the time of the pandemic, when we started looking back and thought that all of this material that we've gathered over all those years, maybe we should put it together in some sort of book that would then become the book that we wished we had when we started our journey. So essentially, bringing it all together, seeing what can we tell people who are now in the profession and are on their way into the profession in order to make life a little bit easier for them. So we put that together, and we tried to focus very much on when you build CI, what kind of resources and capabilities do you need, and how then are you going to sort of develop them over time. So we started focusing on the three key pillars, namely the information, the technology, and people. How do you evolve them in parallel over time to make sure that you really get those capabilities in place? And when you read the book, you will see we sort of mixed theory with practicalities. You have checklists on how to choose software. You have certain checklists on what are the pitfalls you should avoid, and there's a number of sort of hands-on advice that we try to get into what is supposed to be really a workable handbook to deal with CI in organizations.
Ron, thank you for inviting me here to be the co-host with you. And Gabriel, it has been very interesting to read your and Jesper's book. I have an example here, Gardens of Intelligence. And it looks like many of these concepts that you have here, they can be quite overwhelming, maybe for a smaller company that has less resources than the big companies which have more established processes and budgets to take care of those processes. But the book seems to target mid-size or larger companies. How do you feel that, how can smaller, less resourceful companies benefit from this kind of understanding? And how can they use this framework that is introduced in this book, Gardens of Intelligence?
No, Kari, you're absolutely right. I mean, the sort of companies we've had in mind when writing the book has obviously been the type of companies we've been working with, which is typically larger, if not multinational, but at least organizations with different segments in the organization, different business areas, where we can, by applying these models that we have, enable more cross-working, more information exchange, experience sharing, etc., etc. But bringing that kind of thinking to smaller companies is quite straight on. I would say when you read it as a small company, it's probably not because you're going to implement everything that we have sort of discussed in the book for obvious reasons, because they're quite significant software platforms that you may not start investing in if you're just 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 people. But it can definitely be read and very much used as an inspiration, because even if you're a small company, particularly if you're heading for growth, you need to start thinking about it in the same way. Even a small company needs structure. You need to start institutionalized knowledge. That's probably one of the sort of the key challenges you see in smaller companies when they want to grow, that they haven't sort of thought about. How can I make sure that we institutionalize what we already know? Everyone tries to run for the same sort of tasks. You don't sort of departmentalize your work. And these are things that I think the book can help in sort of mentally structuring. How can we do that? How can we prepare for becoming bigger? Not to wait until you suddenly find that you are 30, 40 people, and then, oops, maybe we should have thought about how to organize this from scratch. So I still think it's definitely a valid book for smaller companies from that sort of inspirational perspective.
Actually, that's a great observation. So we are mostly startups in the audience, but many of them are going to become unicorns, and they're going to go and move on. So they're going to become fairly large companies. So I'm glad you're addressing the fact that there's lots of usefulness of your book also for startups, smaller companies, medium as well as large companies. So it's very comprehensive book.
One thing I can add to that, Rom, is also a portion of the book looks very much into the different roles you need in these types of organizations. Who plays what role in that kind of growth, in that kind of capability development, and that is definitely something that is worthwhile for a smaller company as well to start thinking of.
Wonderful. So let's change a little bit of subject. So you're using lots of analysis with gardening, not just in the title. Why is that?
True. Well, I mean, it all came naturally when we started thinking about how to develop an organization that should be working with CI and I would say other areas as well, to be honest. You start with some sort of seed. You want it to grow. You want this capability to become larger and larger and better. And the way we then portrayed it is that we compare it to a garden. We compare it to planting seeds and then nurturing, and you have the burgeoning gardens and everything. And the really important sort of message in the book is that when you develop these capabilities, you have the resources, the information, the people, the technology we talked about, that they have to be developed in balance. So we have 6 phases where we go from one level to next level. Pause at that level, make sure that you can deliver on that level, and then take the next phase to a 3rd and 4th and 5th level and so forth. Because what we've seen going back in all the projects we've been working at is that if you try to take too big a leap at one time, the risk is that you will exhaust your organization, you will exhaust your resources, and you will not reach that sort of planned for level, meaning you may end up in a situation where you can't actually deliver on anything of your promises, which of course is a risk because your organization will evaluate what you've done based on the output, not that you're developing things. So that's why we have those levels, and they're very sort of well thought through. From what we've seen is where is it convenient to park, if you like, to rest in your development efforts while still delivering on the operation that you're trying to do. So that's why we have this garden, because it goes hand in hand with planting and letting it grow and nurturing and keeping track of all your trees and bushes and everything and flowers, and make sure that they live well out there in your garden. It's very much a working analogy.
Yeah, I really like your analogy because I think it's important specifically for most of our audience, again, startups, smaller companies, people just getting started. And you pointed out it's a plan. Yeah, we all want to, go leaps and bounds, but that is not a very smart decision versus your approach. You go step by step, and then you consider when you're ready to take the next step. And I think that's not just more responsible, but it's better planning. So when you're thinking about the strategic planning process, right, that's one step at a time.
It also
And
helps
also, Ron, one thing you can add to that is that it's also quite a process in time. This is not a thing you do over half a year. One of these steps might take half a year or maybe even up to a year, while others can take just maybe a quarter. But during that time, things might have changed. The company might have ended up in a more budget restrained position or something. So you might have to rest, which also then enables you to say, okay, we thought we would be able to take 3 steps over those 2 years. It turns out we can only take 2 steps. Good, but we've planned for that step 2 is actually a step where we can rest, not just for 6 months, but maybe for 2 years if we have to, and still deliver on our promises.
What I was planning to say, that it helps also to budget the stepwise, that that how the team is going to grow, and you don't have to need the swallow the elephant at once. You can take it in bits and pieces. And that
Absolutely.
comes quite much to operational efficiency. So what do you think? You have a long track record, Gabriel, in the competitive intelligence domain. But how about the other area of the companies? If you have the investment or scale-up situation, what kind of other learnings can be drawn from the book than just competitive intelligence?
Well, I mean, we've looked at, that's a very good question, Kari. We've looked at the capabilities and resources build up of intelligence, but scaling a company, you of course have other areas as well where you need to do exactly the same sort of journey. It could be your capabilities, and I mean, what is extremely sort of much talked about now, sustainability capabilities. How are we on sustainability reporting? How are we on sustainability management, etc.? And these are also areas where you need to consider, who am I going to put on those tasks as the people? Do I have the competence internally? Are we sitting on the right information base? Do we understand this? Do we have someone internally that actually understands the legislative frameworks that we need to adhere to? Do we have the reporting technology in place? So there's a lot of different areas where you need to think in the same way. You can have agreement management, or contract management with your customers. That goes along the same line. So one thing that you typically see when you go into smaller companies about to scale is that they haven't really thought about, which this is a word I know lots of people think, oh God, this is heavy, but processes, right? Who is doing what, and classifying simple things such as customer agreements. So it's more easily to find. It's more easy to know which agreement contains what kind of deliveries and so forth. And you quickly run into situations where those sort of administrative hurdles are getting bigger and bigger. And the more you sort of apply structure and thinking to those different areas at an early stage, the more you save 10 times what you put in later on in the growth journey. So if you read the book with the sort of the perspective that, yes, this is about CI, but could I apply the same thinking in other managerial areas, if you like? The answer is definitely yes.
So bringing efficiency into the game.
Yep. Efficiency and structure. Yes.
Yeah, and one other thing that you do quite a lot, I mean, you just discussed a little bit about the processes, but you do use quite a lot of models. And based on the models of your book, do you have any specific advice for, again, let's go back to the startups, the smaller companies aiming for rapid growth? Obviously, they want to achieve the rapid growth phase, right? Actually, why don't we start this talk, or this part of the talk, talking a little bit about the intelligence platform for a moment. So you do have a beautiful graph, and I really love that one for the intelligence platform. Why don't you explain the intelligence platform and how could we use it?
Well, I mean, intelligence platforms are always there for both keeping track of what has been going on, but also what is going to happen tomorrow. And there's so many different aspects of intelligence. And as you can see on this one, very often we hear, we're going to get an intelligence platform, and what people are talking about is essentially media monitoring. Namely, we're keeping track of what's going on out there. It's, I would say, very tactical. You get a piece of information. It's already past information, and you try to act on that one. It's not at all a non-important aspect of intelligence. Definitely, we need that, but that is not the entire picture for obvious reasons. The other one, which is also like historically, it's the intelligence management part where we try to we put our how can you say, the spotlight in areas where we may not have had it before, but it's still trying to find out what has been going on and learning from today's business. That is obviously a little bit more strategical. When it comes to strategical intelligence, what I typically compare with is that every company finds itself in a business environment, and I use the comparison that strategy is the way of making sure that your company is really positioned for that business environment. The problem is that the business environment is always on the move. So in some cultures, we have this children's tale about the gold pot at the end of the rainbow. My sort of analogy is that the business environment, that's really the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, meaning that as soon as you start chasing it, it's moving. So your strategy needs to be on the move as well. And those who win will be those where the gap is the smallest between your strategy and that gold pot. And that's really what we're trying to sort of start building a capability for when we work with intelligence management, just to get that picture in place. But what you really need to do is to move your focus to the right hand of this graph, where we talk about the discover and looking into the trend radars. Do I understand, even before the business environment has started to move, do I understand where it's about to move? Can I sort of shortcut that, and by understanding the trains, be there quicker than I would otherwise have done? And of course, all this also brings into the insights generation, as we talk about. What am I going to do tomorrow on a tactical level? Have I learned something that I can sort of start baking into our proposals, our immediate communication to customers and the market in general? And these are 4 different areas that needs their different models. And these models, of course, need to be based on the identical background in terms of data and knowledge and internal competencies, but they're different sort of facets of how we apply it in our internal strategy development.
Yeah, I really like this because it's very comprehensive. So Kari and I were talking quite a lot at the beginning of the year, and specifically about the disruption. So when you see like war in continental Europe, right, the aggression against Ukraine, so it caused such turmoil. Not just I'm talking the political aspect, but logistics, commerce, reactions, embargoes. But it gives a great level of comfort when I look at, for example, your intelligence platform, right? So you just go back through the circle. Let's go back to monitoring. Let's go back to projecting. Let's go back to the processes. That the processes is stable. So I think your model is very comprehensive, and it provides great calm and comfort for someone in planning, because of course no disruptions do exist. And Kari and I talk quite a lot about the disruptions and what it means in Europe, and maybe people don't think about it, but small
Sure.
things like if you clog the port of Rotterdam, or if you clog the port of Hamburg with ships going down, and Kari knows more about this than I do. So then shipments are delayed, your supply chain is delayed, and there's like consequences after consequences. But your model is stable and forces us to go through each and every one of the steps and rethink our strategy sound, is it not sound, what can we do? Kari, anything else would you like to add? We had lots of talk.
Yeah.
Gabriel,
And this is the challenge, that there's so lots of things to raise up from this. So Gabriel, we just saw the image there of the 4 different domains, and many of the people listening was thinking, oh, I need to cover this and that box. Let's start with media monitoring. That's easy. All right. And let's intelligence management. Let's look into internal docs and trend. We can see some trend curve emerging here, but how do I generate these insights after all? So about this book, Gardens of Intelligence, if there would be only one concept to take out, or one clear task out of many different tasks that it represents, what would you recommend for these smaller companies that want to scale up?
Foresight and preparedness. That's what we're trying to achieve in doing all this. The preparedness comes from exactly what you were talking about, Ron. When you phrased it like you did, I was thinking myself that maybe what we've been trying to do is to extend the comfort zone for people working in this, so they can feel comfortable in sort of a wider array of tasks when it comes to understanding the future of the company, including trends, as we were talking about now, risks, what happens if. But if there's one word, I would say it's foresight, and directly connected to that, preparedness. We have a phrase in the book where we say, when future knocks on the door, it will not walk away. And it's a question of not being surprised when the future knocks on your door. So if there's one key thing, yes, that's the one.
And that's why I like your model, because when I talk about the future, I explain to people there's not just one future, there's a plentitude of futures, right? We don't know which
Yep.
one is right, which one will actually materialize. So when you say preparedness, yes, we have to continuously invest time and effort into monitoring, into doing analysis, into gathering data,
Mm.
into intelligence, and coming to places like this, like conferences, and reading great books. So people like talking to smart people like Kari, who is also always pushing the envelope and trying to force us to think through alternative ways and reconsider our alternatives, and having robust processes that can withstand the proverbial hurricanes that we see in business. But that's
Yep.
what I like about your approach is focus on processes, focus on data collection, analysis, and generation of foresights. And that's how I feel you add a whole lot of value. Now,
Mhm.
I'm going to ask a very tough question.
Oops.
I'm going to ask you to choose a favorite child. And I know those types of questions are usually not fair, but if there's only one practical key takeaway that is more important than anything else, so again, I'm asking you to choose a favorite child. So,
Ah,
what would that be if I run into you and I ask you for advice? What
I,
is that advice?
I think you will be disappointed on my answer, and the risk is you say, "Oh, now you're trying to cheat." But actually,
That's fine.
I do have one answer to that one, and I'm absolutely positive that that is the right answer. Start doing something. Just start doing something, because there are so many sort of initiatives that we've seen where you stop at the planning stage. For some reason, it just grows too big. Everyone wants to do, a big bang project. But no, just start doing something. The only sort of caveat that I would sort of add to that is when you are about to start doing something, go back to your ITP structure, the one we talked about in the beginning, and try to assess, where do I have my strongest assets? Am I already sitting on tons of information for some reason? Do we have tremendously expensive subscriptions to the big news houses, the professional content already? What do we do with that? If I have that, I don't need to take on more subscriptions. Uh, do we have people enough to understand what we're going to do? Yeah, we're a team here. We're pretty good at what we're doing. Okay, so maybe what you're lacking is a piece of software that can help you. The other way around could be that you have tremendous people and software, but for some odd reason, we haven't had the budget to buy information. Well, that's interesting. We're a good team of really knowledgeable people that know how to deal with a piece of software, but the software is empty because we haven't got money enough for the information. So the sort of the story here is that try to figure out which of those three areas of resources that we're looking at is least developed, and start doing something there. You don't need to do everything at the same time, but start where you're weakest. Otherwise, it's the risk is we're good at something, we have a team, let's develop our team efforts. But if you don't have any information or software to support that team effort with, it won't, the dividend from doing that will not be very fantastic.
Yeah, and one of the things I really love when I speak with Kari and he sits with me and asks, what are we trying to accomplish? And let's go step by step and try to get there. So, Kari, I'm going to ask you, turn the tables. So, what is your advice for the people who are just starting out? They are forming their companies, they have a vision, they have a plan, or they should. And that's why we're here. There's Gardens of Intelligence to help you
Yeah.
think about framework processes and putting that into one package. So, what is your advice for the folks in the audience who are just starting out? And what is your advice? Again, pick your favorite child in there.
Outsource,
What's up?
outsource, and outsource. This sounds crazy, and the companies have tight of money when they are small. But you must think about the efficiencies that Gabriel has been speaking about in the book. If you need to have a sustainability expert, reach out to me or someone else in your region who knows about that topic. If you reach out about competitive intelligence frameworks, reach out to Gabriel or someone else who knows about that topic. Because in the end of the day, if you try to do everything yourself, like a typical entrepreneur, you will not be the jack of all trades. There's always someone who is more in depth into the area who can do it for you and deliver you quality and get you different perspectives that you might have not thought about yourself. So, yes, it costs you money to pay someone else to do part of the work that is needed. But if you try to do it all in house when you are small, there is a risk that it's not going to fly fast enough and it's not going to be good enough quality. So extend your network, extend your resources, and use consultants, books, courses, and so on to get those insights so you can be bigger than you actually are. I want to give you one example because that sounded very commercial now. There's a very famous American young man called Nathan Latka in the SaaS software space. He became a multimillionaire before the age of 30 already, and he has basically been interviewing the exits of the SaaS companies in the venture capital space. And the secret sauce is that his company maybe has only one or two persons because he has outsourced everything from copywriting to graphical design to email marketing to everything he has outsourced. So, Rom, you are the jack of this specialist as well, right? So, in your futures television, you have invited experts around the world to speak. So, you don't need to master everything. You offer the world's largest virtual library of competitive intelligence experts through your IMCI magazine. So that's the one key takeaway I would like to give everybody to audience. If you need competitive intelligence experts, read this book and reach out to Gabriel.
Exactly.
Can I add
Okay,
just to that, Kari, because I agree entirely with you, and that is not just for smaller companies. This is one of my favorite areas when we speak to larger companies as well, because there are so many good information professionals companies, analysis companies, news companies, what do you call it? Companies gathering information for you, etc. Still, larger organizations tend to try to do that themselves because they're afraid of the cost that will include of engaging that kind of sort of external analysts and information providers. Whereas the truth is it's the other way around, because obviously, even if you're a large company, you will not be able to match up a whole team of specialized analysis companies and content providers. So that will follow us all the way up to large corporates, that there are segments of all these operations that should be outsourced or that you should buy the resources. And what you should be doing internally is really just to make sure whatever that learning that is brought into the company is matched to your strategic sort of direction. We talked about, adapting the strategy to business environment. That has to be done internally, absolutely. But lots of the other work can be outsourced as well.
And what I would like to add here is, so we are in a conference, of course, and folks, please take the time to network. Meet Kari, meet Gabriel here. But look, why are these people here? Not because they are incredibly smart, but because they're passionate and dedicated, and they share. Talk to Gabriel, talk to Kari, ask questions, network, get to know them. They're here with their open hearts and their open doors to help you. You're a startup, like I was too, right? You're a startup, you're starting out. Don't become a one-person band. It's a disaster. It's something to be laughed at. Become a symphony orchestra. You don't have to have all the musicians. You can hire part-time musicians. They come in and the sound's gonna look and sound prima perfecto. So folks, Kari, thank you so much for your time here today. Gabriel, wonderful. Congratulations on your wonderful book. Was always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you. You too, Rom.
Thank
So
you.
folks,
Thank you,
thank
Kari.
you, Kari.
Thank you.
And folks, thank you so much for being here with us in this roundtable. And please continue in the conference. And please do say hi to Kari and Gabriel. Thank you so much. See you next time.
Thank you.